So today let's look at another Walter Foster book. This is Head/2 by Andrew Loomis, and it's basically excerpts from his figure drawing for all it's worth book. Inside you see he starts off with a bunch of heads. And what I wanted to show with this was how he does his planning of the head. He draws, there is a circle here, then he draws an oval down here at the bottom, and he then divides everything up and says the hairline is going to be here, a third of the way down is going to be the eyebrows, 2/3 of the way down is going to be the nose, the bottom of the nose, and then the last third down is the chin. Halfway across is going to be the line for the eyes, the bottom of the eyes. So that's how he divides up the head to do drawing. And if we keep going, you see more construction of the female head, how to turn the head, how to tilt it up, looking at it from the top down, turn sideways, almost a profile, and more, and then putting the head on the body. And now we see a lot of folds here in the gown. Teenage boys, different proportions. So a really good book here on how to draw. And teenage girls, old and young people, babies, proportions of baby heads, men, and here you see the drawing I copied way back from the figure drawing for all it's worth book. How it relates to a skull from a skeleton. So a lot of great information here about how to draw heads and faces. Mark Twain. Abe Lincoln. Not sure who these guys are. So this is probably a second edition of this. I've had this for some time now, so I don't even know, but I will check to see if this is still available. Once you get through that and draw the human head, you can then move on to a Jack Hamm book, cartooning the head. Cartooning the head and figure. And so what he does is shows you how to do cartoon faces. And if you know how to draw the realistic face, this part becomes really easy. Everything here is exaggerating, drawing emotions. There's anger, fear, surprise, sorrow, yelling, worry, thinking, meditating, being happy, smiling, laughing. So like I said, if you know how to draw the realistic head and faces, this part gets really easy because you're just exaggerating and cartooning the head and faces that you know how to draw realistically. So here's more formulas. Here's his formula, breaking down the face into a grid to add the features and the hair. There's 8 steps to drawing a teenage girl. Basic shapes is how you do everything. These basic shapes for the hair. Stylized cartoon girl heads. And then caricature, taking famous people and doing them as caricatures. Woodrow Wilson turned into a caricature here. This would be Neville Chamberlain. There's different caricatures of him. On this page, he names them: FDR, Hoover, Bob Hope, Jimmy Durante with the big nose, Winston Churchill, G.B. Shaw, Stan Laurel, Adolf Hitler, and Charlie Chaplin. Down here is Dwight D. Eisenhower. So a lot can be done with caricature. And then he moves on to the figure and drawing simplistic bodies, which again, if you can draw a realistic one, you can draw the cartoony one. This was my favorite page 45 years ago. Cartooning on a hairpin, just starting with a upside down U, and adding a face, arms, legs, and feet. And then you can just add on to that to make it whatever you want. Doing a tall person, same formula. And then here, adding clothing and expressions. Just one of the great cartooning books of all time is this book by Jack Hamm. So I know I've gone over this book before, but I wanted to tie it into realistic drawing by Andrew Loomis to show you the importance of drawing realistic as best as you can do so that you understand the cartooning part, the caricature part. And you can get this at your local bookstore or on Amazon. So in the meantime, see if you can find this one or any of the Jack Hamm books. And keep drawing and keep having fun.